and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where again, we have so much to cover, because of course we're going to be talking about Barca's 7th successive league win of the season, and again, we're going to be using the words of Hansi Flick to give us more of an insight into exactly what we saw. We're going to be talking about the likes of Jules Koundé, glowing words on him from Flick, Lamine Yamal's condition right now, and Ansu Fati's lack of minutes, but there's so much more as well. We've got to talk about Wojciech Szczęsny's arrival. We've got thoughts on Inaki Pena, and also the goalkeeper that Barça may be eyeing as Marc-Andre ter Stegen's long-term successor. All of that is coming. So sit back and relax, and let's do this. Because first of all, guys, I would like to give here a very special shout out to Yamir, who is here every single video without fail right now. They are as consistent as Lamine Yamal, and that is saying something there. And also fantastic support coming in from India. Every morning we wake up and we hear what Jamie has to say. Thank you a lot there for that, guys. And I want to begin here with an excellent super thanks from Matthew, who mentions Marc Casado. Looking at the way that he played last night, the way that he's played all season, why wasn't he used more often by previous coaches there? Best wishes from Malta. Thank you indeed for the terrific support. And I think it's a great point on Casado, because he has had to be really patient waiting for this big break in the first team. He's been waiting a long time to make it happen. I remember last season, guys, when he got called up to about 30 different squad lists and never played. He had to wait to even get onto the field. But I think what we're also seeing here, guys, is a player that really suits the Hansi Flick style of play. I think he really suits the system right now. He's perfect to have in midfield there, the way that he covers ground, the way that he plays with the intensity, but also the intelligence. You know, he knows where to be, he knows how to break up play. He's always in very good positions, and I think that's why so early on in pre-season, Hansi Flick, he identified Marc Casado. He said, look, we've got a player there. We've got a real talent in that position, and I want to use him. And I think what we've seen so far this season is the absolute perfect fit for Flick's team, and it's full credit, it really is, to what Casado's doing. But I do think, guys, as well, on that exact note, we have to give credit to, right now, to Inigo Martinez. Again, it's somebody that we haven't really got the chance to speak a lot about, but he's been going about his work quietly, and he has been performing very well indeed. He has played all but 9 minutes of this season. He has started every single game, nearly played for every single minute, and yesterday, for example, Flick didn't even know if he'd be able to play him. He said, I'm going to have to speak with Inigo on match day to see how he's feeling. He did play. He played the whole game again, even despite receiving a really heavy knock towards the end of the game. He soldiered on, and he's playing so well alongside Pau Kubasi, and you can see why, again, back in the summer, Flick was very clear towards the club. We have to keep him. You have to go and register Inigo Martinez. I want him in my team. I think he sees him as well as a good character, a bit of a leader for that back line as well. He counted on him very early on, and Inigo, he is definitely repaying his coach. But indeed, guys, what did the main man think of yesterday's game, yesterday's performance, and yesterday's result? Because the very first question that Hansi Flick got after the game yesterday was from a reporter who came in and said, it was only 1-0. You only won by a goal to nil. Talk to me about that. And Flick's response, I mean, it was perfect, really. You've just come off the back of a hard-fought game. You've got the 3 points. He said, how many points do you get if you only win 1-0? And of course he laughed, but I think there was an element of seriousness to that answer as well, guys. You know, obviously that's like, it was only the 1 goal, but you can't win every week, especially with the amount of games that we're playing, by 4 goals. You know, you can't win 5-1 every week. You can't win 7-0 every week. And it's also no point winning those games in that way, winning by so many goals, if then, when it comes to these moments where it's a bit tricky, where it's a bit scrappy, if you drop points, that makes those big wins irrelevant. If you don't follow them up with a few hard-fought victories, you're going to need to scrap and fight your way in a few games every season. We did that last night, and we made sure that we stayed perfect. And Flick did say, I've been told that games like this against Getafe, that they're quite normal. They are very good in defence, but he said, I'm really proud of the players. They fought for 95 minutes. I'm really proud as well of the fans. We needed them, and they helped us. It was fantastic. He said, 7 out of 7 wins in La Liga. It's great. but we do have to do things a bit better. We have several things that we can work on, but we had a good mentality today, and for me, it's a good starting point to improve there. So Flick, again, under no illusions that yesterday it wasn't perfect. We're not the finished article. We're not really seeing the peak performance right now, but we're still progressing. We're still winning. We are still top of the table there, and by a good distance. That's the important thing right now, and we keep moving forward. And I did think it was interesting, guys, that in particular there, Hansi Flick wanted to single out the performance and the fitness levels again of Jules Koundé. Even before the game, he was glowing in his praise, wasn't he, of Jules Koundé. He said, this guy, he's incredibly fit. And again, after the game, he said Koundé is incredible. He said he is always ready. He is always at 100%, and I never even think about changing him during the matches. He is a leader for all of us, and I feel like right now he is really counting on Koundé. He is his leader there in the back line, the leader for the whole team, and he's somebody who's performing so consistently. He's playing excellently well. I'd say this is the best period of Koundé's Barca career right now. The way that he's performing, the confidence that he seems to have, not only defensively as well, but going forward, he's doing good things too. You know, at times we've seen him as a player who couldn't really express himself in the final third there, given that he was naturally a centre-back, but I think he's actually growing into this right-back role. I actually think now he's starting a little bit to enjoy himself there, especially combining with Yamal. I mean, how could you not enjoy that on the right side? And I'm actually really happy there to see that Koundé seems to have grown to appreciate his own performance, what he can do as a right-back. And it was interesting because he himself faced the media after the game there. He answered a number of questions, and he too was asked about only winning by a goal, but he said sometimes it happens. You know, you can't always win with a big goal difference. The important thing is that we created chances. Again, we took another 3 points, and he also said Getafe are always a difficult team to handle, and that seems to be a sentiment shared by everyone. Getafe are incredibly annoying, because he was then asked, did the team though have to suffer tonight to get the win? But he said, I don't really know if we suffered, apart from the last 10 or 5 minutes, which is normal when you're only 1-0 up and the opposition sees it as a possibility to push more and push harder. But he said, I didn't really feel as though we suffered, and I would say that as well, guys. Although it was a physical game last night, I don't feel as though we were really pushed all the way. I don't feel as though the players had to use every last drop of energy. I think actually at times it felt as though we were playing a little bit within ourselves. We were holding a bit back, so I don't think we used too much energy on last night's game. But I thought the big quote from Koundé was on Hansi Flick. He said, we saw since day one that Hansi Flick is a world-class coach. He said, we as players, we're enjoying the training sessions and we're enjoying the matches under Flick. That is for sure. And this right here is not the first player, nor is it the last player, to pay special tribute, special praise there to what Flick has come in and done. And it's not just here about what happens on the field. It's not just about the matches. You hear players talking consistently here about training, about the fact that they're being pushed, they're working hard. They feel as though they're making progress in those training sessions, and we see the result of that in those performances there. So Koundé, the latest player here to say, we are loving life under Flick. He is a world-class coach. But on there, the words from Hansi Flick. He actually spoke a little bit as well about Robert Lewandowski, and again, really glowing words on him. He said, for me, he is the best number 9 of the last 10 years. And he said his job is to play in front of goal and score goals. He said it is simple. He's got players around him who can assist him, and he is fantastic in front of goal. And I think that quote there, it's a really important one. It's very, very simple, but it's important because that is what Flick has done right throughout his time at the club so far. We're not overcomplicating things here. That has been the theme throughout Flick's Barca. You've got talented players, you've got quality players, so use them to their strengths. Robert Lewandowski is a world-class centre-forward in the 6-yard box. He is a poacher. He will score goals for fun. Put him there and provide him with opportunities to score. And right now, he's got 7 goals in 7 games in La Liga. And I think actually in some ways, it's similar to Hansi Flick's Barca, because you almost feel disappointed when Lewandowski only ends the game with 1 goal. You kind of feel as though there's more in there. There's more to give. I have no doubt at all that he can still score even more. I really believe that he can. And Flick, I think, will believe that as well. because he is in the right area now. He is where he wants to be, and this is exactly the kind of Lewandowski we should be seeing. However, guys, we do indeed have to talk a little bit here about Lamine Yamal, because even him yesterday, he was so close again to scoring in yesterday's match there. And I think Yamal right now, when he cuts inside on that left foot, there were several moments throughout this game, one in particular, where he unleashed a beautiful strike towards goal. It's almost as though when he cuts in on that left, you feel like it's going in. You feel as though there's an air of inevitability about it, that he is going to score. He is going to cause serious problem here. And it took an absolutely phenomenal save yesterday to deny him. And it needed to be that good from the goalkeeper. And I think right now, Yamal, he's so good. He is so talented. He's so key to our team. For that reason, you always want him out there. I understand that point of view. But there will have to come a time where he gets some rest. I think we're all aware of that right now. After the game, we did see him limping a little bit last night, grabbing at his leg. It's not believed to be a serious problem. I think he'll be fine to face Osasuna on Saturday, but I'm really intrigued tomorrow when Flick does face the media before Saturday's game. He's going to be asked again about Yamal, and I want to see if that answer changes any from what we heard earlier on in this week when Flick said, well, he doesn't need rest right now. We don't feel as though the data is telling us he needs rest, because we all love watching him. We all want to see him in a Barca shirt, but I think we've got to be very, very careful, because it's not just the fact that he's 17, it's not just the fact there that he's playing so many games, but it's also that he is the one getting tougher treatment than any other player. He is being targeted, and it's unfortunate, it's a real shame for the game, but they're kicking him. They're every single game really focusing on Lamine Yamal because he's that good. But we've got to make sure here that we do take care of him, that we do take the absolute best care of him, and that will mean at some stage he will have to get some rest. However though, guys, we go from one player who can't stop playing to one who hasn't really started yet, because Ansu Fati did get 3 minutes on his return there against Monaco in the Champions League, but since then, no minutes against Villarreal, and then last night again, he was an unused sub. And Flick was asked after the game, why didn't we see Ansu there? What was the thinking behind not bringing him on in this game? And he did say, Ansu is at 100% in terms there of his fitness, but he said the match was tough and we decided to bring on other players there. So what do you make of that quote? What can you read into those words there from Hansi Flick as to the reason why we didn't see Ansu? Now, in my mind, in my opinion here, I don't think he's going to outright say we didn't want to bring him on because Getafe would have taken his legs off. You know, Flick wouldn't say that in a press conference, but I honestly think that's what he meant. I think here there was an element yesterday of trying our best to protect Ansu Fati against these Getafe hatchet men. I think that is genuinely a reality. I think there is some caution there right now, because even looking at the Villarreal game when he didn't come on, that was a really frantic game. You know, that was being played at 100 miles an hour, even right up until the final seconds. And we saw also what was happening to Yamal there. That clearly also wasn't the game there to bring him back into. So I think against Getafe, it was the same sort of feeling. But I think what we really have to look at now are the next games, because on paper they look like good games. They look like nice games there where there should be opportunities for Ansu to start to rack up some proper minutes again. I think he's just got to stay patient right now. He's got to keep working hard, because I have no doubt at all that when the time comes, when the right moment arrives, Flick is going to trust in him. He should trust in Ansu for sure, and I think we are going to see him get more minutes in these coming games, so watch this space. And I think it's incredible, guys, to look over yesterday when the game was going on to the sidelines, to the stands. Half of our team are there. Half of our team right now are just sitting, waiting to be involved. And it is still incredible. Every single game that goes by, every week that goes by, I just think more and more, what is it going to be like when we've got everybody back? When Flick has a full squad of players at his disposal, the options, the quality that we will have, that we will possess in our team, it's going to be incredible. And I just can't wait for that to happen. And seeing some of them sat there yesterday, we are counting down the days. But indeed, guys, speaking there about options that Flick will have at his disposal, why don't we talk about the brand new arrival that is set to come to the club, Wojciech Szczęsny? He is on his way there. He will sign for the club as a free agent. He will come out of retirement. And like I said yesterday in the match review, I think it's a really, really good signing. To have an injury like we did in mid-season to Ter Stegen, that of course we didn't expect, that of course we didn't want, and then to have to go out there and search for a top-quality goalkeeper, it's not easy. But we have found somebody here who does have quality, and certainly there has the experience to come in and help us out in a difficult moment. And I just want to express here, guys, that Robert Lewandowski, he was genuinely very involved in this deal, because apparently as soon as Ter Stegen's injury was confirmed to be a serious one, Lewandowski was on the phone. He was speaking there immediately to Szczęsny, probably to check, if he would be available, if he would come out of retirement. And can you imagine that phone call? Oh, hi, mate. I was just wondering if you'd fancy coming out of retirement to come and put on a Barça shirt. I mean, what a phone call. What a moment there for Wojciech Szczęsny. And quite clearly, he accepted it immediately. And Lewandowski really pushed for this move here, speaking to those inside of the club. Lewandowski, of course, is well aware of Szczęsny's quality, his ability for all the years together they spent at the national team. And quite clearly, he felt as though he was the perfect option to arrive in this situation. Now, what we're hearing right now is that Szczęsny, the idea for him is to be fit and ready to be available for the game against Sevilla. Now, that is not until October the 20th. And what that means is here, he's going to have all of those weeks and the upcoming international break to get himself ready to be involved. Because remember, obviously, this is somebody who had retired. We don't know exactly what kind of condition Szczęsny is in. Obviously, being a goalkeeper, it's slightly less about stamina required, but it's more about getting back up to speed. You've got to be razor sharp. You've got to have those lightning quick reflexes. You've got to get yourself well and truly back in the game, especially at Barça. So he's going to have a few weeks here just to get himself up to speed, to get himself ready, and then he will be available to play, which I think, though, still gives now a huge opportunity to Inaki Pena, because I had a super thanks here coming in from Norway. Great support, thank you very, very much indeed. And it was basically talking about whether this signing here, bringing somebody in, will make Inaki Pena feel a lack of trust from within the club. But I think the club here, they had to bring somebody in simply from a numbers point of view, because you need at least 2 senior goalkeepers at any given time. Because look, if Pena now were to get an injury, we'd be in real trouble. Big trouble there, with lots of inexperience in the goalkeeping department. And I think you hear that there after the game yesterday from Hansi Flick. He said, I'm only going to talk about players that I have here right now. He's not going to talk about Szczęsny yet. He said Inaki is our goalkeeper. He said, I'm happy with him today. Inaki is 25 years old, but the rest that are here right now, they are very young. So if something happens, we need a goalkeeper with experience. He said, Deco and I have been discussing it, we've reflected on it, and we are working on it there. So Barca needed to bring somebody in with that experience, just to give us really that added security. And I think what we're going to see now, of course, is Inaki Pena counted on for at least the next 3 games. He is going to be the number 1, at least up until the international break. And I think what we have to do now is see what he can do. And that is why Hansi Flick is very, very willing to say, look, we trust him. He's ready to play now. We want to see what he can do, because this is an opportunity for him. He's got a nice run of games, a good run of games here to show what he's capable of, to grab hold of this opportunity. And well, let's see what he can do. Let's see the kind of level that he's going to play at. And that's the important thing here, because come the end of that international break, suddenly we've got some good competition. It's a good thing to have if Inaki Pena's playing well. It's a good thing to have then for Szczęsny to come in and provide real competition, the quality that he has. He'll be pushing, believe me, for that number 1 jersey. He wants to come in and play, but competition at the club, that is always what you want. But I think we have to go further on this, guys, and I think we have to look even longer term right now, because obviously by the time that Marc-Andre Ter Stegen does return from his current injury, he is going to be 33 years old. And even before this injury, I think it's something the club would have had in their mind ahead of the coming summer, especially given that what we're hearing recently is that in the summer just gone, they would have looked more at a goalkeeper if it wasn't for the FFP problems that we were having. So I think definitely there is some intent out there to look longer term, to think, okay, who is eventually going to replace Ter Stegen? Who should be thought of as his long-term successor? And I've got a great super thanks here that says, is Porto's Diogo Costa a good option for the club? Now, obviously, that's not going to be in January now. It's going to be more of a summer signing, and it's not going to be cheap either, by the way, but he is a big talent there, Diogo Costa of Porto, not to be confused with Diego Costa. Those two are very different characters, but Diogo Costa, he is a fantastic shot stopper there, playing his football in Portugal with Porto, and he's somebody apparently Barca have been tracking for a long time. We have been keeping a very close eye on him, and there are plenty of people within the club who would like him long term to replace Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Now, right now, Barca's interest is mainly based around Deco. He is a huge fan of Diogo Costa. He's very attentive, of course, Deco, to the Portuguese market. He's got great connections at his former club, FC Porto, and no doubt it also helps here that Costa's agent, you guessed it, is Jorge Mendes. So that's something there to bear in mind. But I think we are talking about a top goalkeeper here. I think we are talking about somebody with a lot of talent. He's really impressed at Porto. They absolutely love him there at the club, by the way. That's why he will not come cheap at all. He's shone as well for the international team. Really impressive performances he's put in with Portugal. And he's only 25 years old. Now, for a goalkeeper, that is young. You've got a lot of time left there. A 25-year-old goalkeeper with the potential to play at the very top level. That is a good investment. But his release clause right now in his deal is 75 million euros. Now, obviously, we're not going to pay that. We're not going to pay that kind of money here. Barca are going to negotiate, maybe come the summer. We're going to have to wait and see what kind of deal they could cook up if he turns out to be the player that we go for. But I just want to know right here and now, guys, would you like to see that happen here? Have you seen much of Diogo Costa? Do you like the profile of goalkeeper that he is? Would you spend on him? If you do want to bring him in, how much would you pay? And just in general here, do you believe that come the summer, we should be going out and signing a top goalkeeper to be thinking about the long term? In the goalkeeping department right now, should it be our priority, guys? Please do let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below, and let me know as well from everything we've discussed in today's video. I hope that you're all still enjoying the long content here, the long form videos. I thank you indeed for all of your great support, and I will see you tomorrow to go through all of the pre-match talk ahead of Barca versus Osasuna. I will catch you then, guys, but until next time, as always, Vejska, Barça!